What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode number 657 of Underground Sports Philadelphia, presented by the City of Vineland. It's KB coming at you solo dolo, because as I've mentioned over the past few months, that's basically what this show has become. It's my own solo Philly sports show. We're going to be talking Phils, talking a little Waterdogs, as I've just gotten back from Connecticut, all settled in. And apologies on this episode getting up late, but that's life. Before we get into everything, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at Underground PHI, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn, all that good stuff. Just search Underground Sports Philadelphia. We are on every social platform. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311 and on Instagram and Threads at KBIZZLE11. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave a 5-star rating and review. It goes a long way for helping the show continue to grow. Helps more people find Underground Sports Philadelphia and our entire catalog of podcasts on our network. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. That's where you get full video episodes of this show twice a week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. It is all on our YouTube channel. We are currently at 818 subscribers. Let's keep that number rolling. Let's keep it going. Let's get to 900. Let's get to 1,000. Let's make it happen. Let's get the road to the plaque going. And, of course, keep on subscribing. You can subscribe to my personal YouTube channel at KB Underground. On the YouTubes. And of course, guys, this show is presented by the City of Vineland, and the City of Vineland Municipal Calendar features city-organized, city-sponsored, and city-affiliated events that are of public interest. The calendar, which is accessible at vinelandcity.org, is a good way for residents and visitors to build awareness, remain engaged with the city government, and participate in local events. You can also follow the City of Vineland on social media via their Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube pages. And through these tools, you can stay connected to the community and get important announcements about programs and services offered by the city. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season. And big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast. Guys, the Phils, I was away all weekend. Up in Fairfield, Connecticut for the PLL, and the Phils, they struggled coming out of the gate against the Pittsburgh Pirates, and to me, it's to be expected. It's the All-Star break. You know, you kind of get out of your groove, and the Phils were kind of in a funk going into the All-Star break during that series against the Oakland A's, but I kind of expected a slow start for them coming out of the break. You know, so many guys at the All-Star game and just trying to get back in the winning ways that we have seen them do this season. But every team in baseball is going to slump. Every team is going to struggle. We have seen the good teams, the bad teams, and the teams in the middle this season struggle no matter where they are in the standings. We've seen the Yankees go through this big slump that they're in. The Orioles have slumped. You know, the Dodgers have hit a wall a couple times this year. It's normal in baseball. Look at the Braves. You know, teams are going to struggle. Teams are going to hit, you know, rough patches in a season. And the way I look at it right now, losing back-to-back series is kind of like how the season started for the Phillies. You know, you lose that series to the Braves, you lose the series to the Reds, and then the Phillies went on a phenomenal run in the first half of the season. Didn't lose a series at home again until that Oakland A's series. You know, to start with a 6-game road trip out of the gate of the All-Star break is tough. And, you know, going to Pittsburgh, sure, it's close to home, but it's not home. And the Phils, hitting-wise, going into the break, we're slumping a bit. And this is why we have talked about this team needing to go out at the trade deadline and getting a bat or two and getting reinforcements in the bullpen. And When it comes to that Pirates series, I'm not overly concerned with what happened there. You look at the final scores of the games. You lost 8-7 in a game that you should have won. You had it in hand. You lose 4-1 on Saturday, and then you win 6-0 on Sunday to salvage the series. So it was a winnable series, especially that first game against Pittsburgh, where you kind of just blew it away in the ninth inning, where you had the lead. You had a 7-6 lead, and at one point you were, up 3-0. You gave away 3, and then it was 4-4. Then you had a 6-4 lead, a 7-4 lead, and then the offense goes quiet for the second half of the game. From the 6th inning on, you didn't score a single run. When you get 13 hits in a game, you should be able to win that game, especially when you're converting more than half of those hits into runs. Bullpen just couldn't hold it down. Alvarado hit a rough patch there, and that's why you need to go and get bullpen reinforcements. And I love Jose Alvarado. I think he's a phenomenal pitcher out of the bullpen, but he's also a guy that in high leverage situations can be volatile, and you need to have somebody who can kind of, sustain that. Sure, you have Jeff Hoffman, you have Matt Strahm, but you also need more, in that back end of the bullpen. So I'm not overly concerned with the Pirates series. What I am concerned with is just this team. The trade deadline is such an interesting thing, and this team continues to have reports put out about guys that they're not interested in or they're not a fit. Dave Dombrowski has not made a huge swinging move in his Phillies tenure as president of baseball operations since he has come here. The Phillies at the trade deadline, since Dave Dombrowski has taken over with the Phillies, which I believe was in 2021. If I'm not mistaken, I'm going to pull it up here. Yeah, 2021. So the 2021 Phillies trade deadline. These are the moves that Dave Dombrowski made. They acquired Kyle Gibson in 2021. They acquired Braden Ogle from the Pirates, who I don't even know if he's still with the organization at this point, and that felt like a minor move. They acquired Kyle Gibson, Ian Kennedy, and Hans Kraus from the Rangers for Spencer Howard and Kevin Gowdy and Josh Gessner. That trade, I was annoyed with at the time because I still believed in Spencer Howard. It's obviously kind of been a wash. Kyle Gibson was solid for the Phillies in 2022. Hans Kraus I thought was going to be something, but unfortunately no longer with the organization. And Ian Kennedy was just a headache and a half coming out of the bullpen that year and made me crazy. They brought back Freddie Galvis. That year as well, which wasn't for too much, I believe. And I mean, Freddie was always great. I loved Freddie Galvis. That was a minor move as well. So nothing really needle moving there. 2022 Phillies trade deadline was also not crazy and like over the top. They went and got Noah Syndergaard. They got Brandon Marsh, who was fantastic and felt like a long-term move and has been a long-term move, which was great. You traded Logan O'Hoppe for Brandon Marsh. You got rid of Odubel Herrera. You used Mickey Moniak as the trade chip to get Noah Syndergaard. And then you also got in 2022... There was somebody else we got. Oh, yeah. We brought back David Robertson for Ben Brown, which Ben Brown's kind of been balling. But David Robertson was decent for the Phillies. And, you went and got pieces. That's kind of been the big, as Jared Carabas has said, who has an open invite to come on the show, Davey Big Dick Dombrowski. that's been his biggest move to date is the 2022 deadline, where you got a long-term starter in Brandon Marsh and a long-term piece of this franchise while getting bullpen help and a fifth starter in Noah Syndergaard. Then last year you get Michael Lorenzen, who was really your only move, and this team is far better overall than both 2022 and 2023. So I think it's time to push some chips in the middle and really evaluate, like, some of the stuff. Sure, it doesn't make sense with a fit, and I don't know if Brent Rooker is a guy that you go and get and kind of risk that DH overload that you would have with him, because he doesn't really play left field all that well, but he can hit the hell out of the ball. Luis Robert is another guy who he should be on your radar. Jazz Chisholm is a guy who should be on the Phillies' radar. You know, it's one of those things that, like, you can't eliminate yourself from contention for a player before even entering the race. And that's my only concern right now with the Phillies, is that they are overanalyzing things to a degree. And over the past couple of years, Dave Dombrowski has just made on-the-margins type moves outside of Brandon Marsh, who they obviously viewed as a long-term piece for this team. And we'll see where it takes us, you know? You got that Twins series coming up, the Guardians coming to town. It's a tough stretch, and that's the thing, too, with the Phillies and this little slump that they're in. I'd rather them slump now, around the trade deadline, while they have built up this equity in wins and being the best team in baseball, than it happen in late August, September, after the trade deadline has happened, or in April and May and June, and you find yourself out of contention, which the Phillies with this team they wouldn't, but, you know, rather being in that wild card position again, maybe you make another on the margins move. This is a time where I'd rather the slump happen, where Dave Dombrowski can evaluate things and say, okay, this is what we need. We're at a point where we are the best team in baseball. Let's go and add elite level talent to the best team in baseball. And that's kind of how I'm viewing this trade deadline, is how Dave Dombrowski has to operate it. And I'm, like I said, I'm more than okay with this slump happening now than down the line after the trade deadline, where there's no more waiver trade deadline, to get guys in August and kind of get some of those on the margin guys. But I'm okay that the slump is happening now. And I know the guys are probably frustrated with themselves. They're frustrated with, you know, losing, because this team does not want to lose. But they're still the best team in baseball. They've built up, like I said, an equity in wins. They have a bit of a margin to work with if things were to kind of spiral a little bit. But I don't see this team as a team that spirals, you know. This is a team that knows how to win. They know how to win together, and I think that's also important, that this core has been together for so long. And you're also adding pieces on the margins from the farm system right now, you know, to add in a Tyler Phillips, to give Michael Mercado some time to marinate in the big leagues a little bit, like he did before the All-Star break. Tyler Phillips has been great, and you know, we'll see what happens with him as the season progresses. But I'm more than okay right now. You know, the Phillies have done enough to not make you panic when stuff like this happens. And it's weird as Phillies fans for us to feel that way. But they have truly done enough so far this season to where the panic button doesn't need to be hit when it feels like things are going awry. It's not 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021 anymore. This is a different iteration that when 2022 began, kick-started, like, you know the vibes. You know that this team is capable of doing things, and I'm intrigued to see what Dave Dombrowski does, and I've said it for weeks, both on and off pod, that, you know, we've been frustrated with some of the roster construction right now with guys like Christian Pache, with different stuff like that. Pache is still on this roster because you're not going to get rid of him for free. You know, he's a guy that he has that raw talent still, and I feel like teams will take a chance on that. And that's why he's still on this roster, because I think Dave Dombrowski feels like as the deadline gets closer, he can trade him. We will also, just see how things transpire and how they approach this deadline. I'm very excited about it, and who knows? This team's going to look a little bit different the next time I'm at Citizens Bank Park on Sunday, I feel like. By the time that Guardian series is ready to wrap up, I think there's going to be quite a few new faces on this Phillies roster. So don't panic. It's going to be all right. Slumps happen, and like I said, I'd rather the slumps happen now than down the line for this Phillies team. Before I keep it pushing, I want to talk to you guys about a couple of things. First off, our partners over at FOCO, the leaders in forever collectibles. They are truly the best in the game. From the overalls, the shortalls, they've got new Olympic stuff in the works and on their website now. They're truly the best. Click the link in the description, check out everything FOCO has to offer from us, and make sure you support our awesome partners over at FOCO, the leaders in officially licensed forever collectibles. And thank you to FOCO for sponsoring the pod. And, of course, guys, our Olympics podcast, Light the Flame and Olympics podcast, presented by Shopify, will be live on Friday around 8 p.m. Eastern time to give you a little companion stream for opening ceremonies. Myself, Casey, Owen, DJ, Christian, Stevie Mac, the whole crew. It's going to be a doozy of a time. We're very excited for this. All Olympics long. Subscribe to Light the Flame and Olympics podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, follow along on the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel as well. It's Light the Flame and Olympics podcast presented by Underground Sports Philadelphia and Shopify. And, of course, guys, if you haven't already seen it going across the ticker, go and get your merch from our awesome merch partners at PHI Apparel Company, the best merch partners in the game. You want to stand out in the crowd when you're going to Citizens Bank Park, you're hanging out at the bar, going out with your boys, your girls, your friends, your family, your significant others. Look your best and repping your favorite Philly sports teams, from the Phillies, the Eagles, the Flyers, the Sixers, the Union. PHI Apparel Company's got you covered. Go to phiapparel.co and use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your next merch order. That's code UNDERGROUND at phiapparel.co for 10% off your next merch order. The Waterdogs, they're driving me crazy, guys. Oh, the Waterdogs. They are too talented to be in a position they're in right now. They lose again this weekend in Fairfield with the best throwback uniforms in the league, and it's one of those things that I don't even blame Bill Tierney. Coach Tierney, I don't think, is the issue. The defense has been playing extremely well. Your superstars in Kieran McCardle and Michael Sowers are delivering, but it's kind of just the rest of the team that it's do or die with Sowers and McCardle. And when the midfield has had so much inconsistency, when you don't have that third option on offense because Ethan Walker has been invisible this season, has effectively been getting paid to do cardio all year. And that's no offense to Ethan. It's just a matter of fact, and I think Ethan would say the same thing. He's got 4 points on the season, coming off a 31-point career year last year. The offense is so predictable and it's so stagnant. And this team is just too talented for that. And it's making me question a lot of things about the Waterdogs offensive coordinator. It's making me question a lot of things about Dylan Ward right now, because he can't stop a 2-bomb to save his life, and the Waterdogs can't score 2 bombs to save their lives. It's very frustrating. A team this talented should not be anywhere close to sniffing the bottom of the league and missing the playoffs. They have a lot of work to do. And I don't know if it's too little too late. This weekend coming up in California, they got to play the best team in the league who are coming off a loss, a recipe for disaster in a lot of cases. I'm speechless at how this season has gone for the Waterdogs. And, it just harkens back to media day before week one, where Bill Tierney was saying, this team is built to win championships and they've set a precedent and a culture, and I'm just coming in here trying not to mess it up. And they have one win on the year. I don't know what the answer is, and it sucks for me as somebody who genuinely has a great relationship with so many guys in that Waterdogs locker room, covering them from a national perspective, and now trying to help bring them into this Philly fandom and Philly sports, zeitgeist for everybody on this show as a fan. I kind of get to peel back that curtain a little bit on this show and be a fan. It sucks to introduce a team to a city and be struggling. Because it's harder and harder for them to buy in. And this is a team that is coming off back-to-back championship game appearances, a 2022 championship series finals appearance, and now they're 1-6 and fighting for their lives to stay in the playoff race. I'm hoping things get turned around because I know the guys in that locker room, and they are doing everything and then some in their power to make sure that happens, but it sucks. And I feel for them because those are the homies. And hopefully, California, a little California air gets the boys going again for this little West Coast swing to end the season, but it sucks. It sucks seeing them lose because they deserve better. But Waterdogs in California this weekend against the New York Atlas. It's Philly, New York. It's a rivalry like no other. We'll be covering it on the Outside the Box podcast in depth. So be sure to subscribe over there as well. Be sure to follow us on the socials at Underground PHI. I know a bit of a shorter episode. I am exhausted. But we'll have another episode up later this week. I don't know if it'll exactly be out on Wednesday. Just got word that Tuesday I'll be going to the Foo Fighters concert in Hershey, and then Thursday I'll be at AJR. So concert-loaded week. I'm getting back to my pre-Pandy Wandy days with concerts this week. And Wednesday is CFO Margie's birthday. So a loaded week, but there will be another episode coming up, so definitely stay tuned for that. Follow us at Underground PHI, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. Leave a 5-star rating and review. Subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. Get your merch at phiapparel.co. Use code Underground for 10% off your merch order. And this show is presented by the City of Vineland, and whether you're a company looking to expand, relocate, or you're a new business startup, selecting the right location is critical to your success. Vineland, New Jersey offers both an affordable business location and an excellent quality of life. The city's economic development department is a one-stop source for moving your project through the development and approval process, and their goal is to make this process as smooth as possible and to provide the fastest turnaround times in the region. If you're considering potential locations for your operation, contact the Vineland Economic Development Team at 856-794-4100. That's 856-794-4100, 4100. Vineland, New Jersey, where it's always growing season. And big thank you to Security 21 Security Systems and Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated for their continued support of this podcast. This has been episode number 657 of Underground Sports Philadelphia. I'm your boy KB. I'll catch you guys on the next episode, but until then, I'm getting the heck up out of here. I'm signing off. Peace.